then I thought I'm gonna study it during my master's. It will be fun. Then I will try to understand it even more. And especially for specific species, as you can see here, several birds and also some mammals, there is a capability that we also share with them, which is called vocal learning. And this means that they, even if they, or we in this case, because we are also animals and we are animals with vocal learning, even if we are born with some innate sounds, meaning that they are born with us, we don't need to learn them, we have the capacity to learn different sounds throughout life and incorporate them into our repertoire and know how to use them. This seems very obvious, but again, not many animals can do it, as you can see. And the ones that I was studying, like the rainbow lorikeets, are in the cetacean species over there, which include parrots and cockatoos and where am I? Parrots, cockatoos, and macaws. You know, the birds that speak. They can even mimic humans, right? This is because they have vocal learning. And this capacity seems to have evolved in these different animals in parallel. It's not like there was one common ancestor, they could do it, and then it went from this common ancestor to make a dolphin or a parrot. It seems to have been an ability that appeared as the species needed it. And what I was then researching is why would this happen? And of course, I'm not the only one. There's many people who have studied this. Why this would have happened in specific species and not in others. It comes a lot from specific wiring of the brain that makes strong and capable connections between listening and speaking, between the auditory pathways and the vocal pathways. And in order for what you listen to become what you speak, these two pathways need to be connected. So as you can see in this nerdy slide, this is what is happening in the birds that I was talking that they can do it, as well as in humans. And our brains are still very different, but we can make parallels between these structures within the brain and of these neurons. And then you can have vocal learning, that the animal will take sounds that is not coming from members of their own species and incorporate them into their own repertoire. This is also what we do as humans, and it's what parrots are very famous for doing. That's why they're, our type of jokes, because they can mimic very well humans who are not of their own species. And this will require even more specific connections in their brain. So I think it's now. Hello. And something that is also very important is to have the physiology to do it, because there's some research indicating that, for example, chimpanzees also have this capability, but their vocal cords are not capable of reproducing what they might be neurologically able to do. So their physiology also becomes a filter. Hello. And one interesting thing that then towards the evolution, why parrots would end up having this ability so much more well developed than, for example, songbirds, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of difference between them. For example, when I say parrots, you prefer that I say parrots or psittaciformes? Parrots, okay. But you know that but you know that when I say that, I also mean cockatoos and macaws. Okay, let's be a bit rigorous here. Huh? So yeah, the parrots have a lot of social contexts in which they might end up applying the vocal learning that they are capable of doing. And something very interesting is that both male and female birds of the parrots are able to do this. They are able to vocally learn and then reproduce. For example, in songbirds, almost all the species of songbirds, the females are mute, because it has a very specific context in which these species will eventually end up using song. And so that tells us something differently about how it evolved and why they end up using it. And now, let's use some examples. This is a raven. The raven is a big, it's not a crow, the crows are much smaller, the ravens are the big ones, the ones in mythology, the super cool, amazing animals that have a very bad reputation, unfortunately, because, I don't know, they like to hang around humans at all times, so there's a lot of bad stuff they do, including wars, so they were well known for being around battlefields. There's a lot of mythology on ravens, and they are very capable of reproducing sounds, and that's actually why a lot of people end up having ravens as pets. And for example, in Portugal, this is not allowed because they are considered a wild animal. So this raven, I used to work with this raven. He was apprehended from a private home, and he was sent to the zoo, again because it is illegal. Sometimes they get so depressed because they bond with the people that they live with that they end up dying. So who knows if this is good or bad to do. And his name was Oreo because this is what he would say. This is probably how his owner or friends at home would call him. So yeah, this is something that really draws in people to have. They're also incredibly smart. They're one of the smartest animals in the world. Hello? This was another parrot that I was interacting with. As you can see, it's a zoo, so they spent a lot of time inside of cages. We can talk about it after. But yeah, very famous for their sounds.
Hola! Hola!
I don't know if you understood, but he says, "Hey girl!" Amina! Yes, we can understand who he was hanging out with, I guess. And then these were the parrots, and then let's hang out with a bit with two examples of songbirds, just to see again how amazing their repertoire can be. This is a nightingale. I'm pretty sure you have heard it if you've been around Europe. They sing a lot at dawn or dusk. And again, it's very cool to go and research a bit about why, how each individual mockingbird will learn their own songs. They learn from their fathers, for example, but from other males around their community as well. Again, very interesting. And then I would like to introduce you to the lyrebird, which is not a parrot, but has a very similar capability of mimicking sounds that are not from their own species.
And that's a car alarm.
This is David Attenborough. So the lyrebird is a songbird. Do you know why songbirds sing then? I was talking about males sing, females don't. Why do they sing? Yes, a lot of the songs are to attract females. So if you say it's a bird, I guess it will work. Or a chainsaw, you know, very romantic. Hello? This is just a small asterisk. We talk a lot about, as you can see, I like birds. Birds are fun. And there's a bit of that, I think even in English it's an expression to be bird-brained. Like, oh, you don't even know where you are, what time it is. But actually birds have incredible neurological structures, as we've seen. It also varies. Birds is a very big group. It's like mammals, you know? It's also a very big group. We are very different from a small mouse as well. So it varies a lot. But indeed, there's birds like corvids, which the ravens are included, as well as have you seen around the blue jay living around here. They're also some of the smartest animals in the world. And sometimes scientists also still relate brain size in relation to the body for intelligence. But there's also some other fun tests that you can do to understand if an animal is smart or not. One that I really love, that I don't remember the name right now, is the self-recognition. So they take any animal, it can be a dolphin or a chimpanzee or a raven, and they put a little dot of whatever color, a small, not hurtful paint, on their back in a place that they cannot see for sure by themselves. Then they put a mirror in front of this animal, and they will see if the animal sees itself in the mirror and sees the dot and tries to clean it, they will understand that they can recognize themselves in a reflection. This is very obvious again, but if you look at a 4-year-old human, they will not be able to do this. They only start doing this around 7-8 years old. So until then, they don't know what is themselves and what is the mirror image. So ravens can do it. Cool, very cool, yay ravens. So we go a bit very shortly into then why animals would develop these capabilities. And it's a lot about sociality, going again back to the relationships. One of the theories about why they would have these super well-wired big brains and learn all these sounds and use them in the repertoire is called the social brain hypothesis. It's funny that it used to be called the Machiavellian intelligence hypothesis. It says a lot what are the references of the scientists who do it in 1988. So it relates brain size to this is basically a technical innovation. Their voice and their ability to listen and then reproduce is a technology, right? And it helps a lot if you can, instead of doing it by yourself, you can learn it through the other ones around you, and it will eventually solve ecological problems. Ecological means that it is in their own ecosystem, right? If they can problem solve by learning with each other, great, amazing. It also helps a lot to do conflict resolution, because when you are living all together in a space with other individuals, maybe of the same species, who have, overlapping needs or these needs, it's very helpful to solve conflicts. And how do you solve conflicts? Through using communication. Vocal communication and also non-vocal communication, very important, right? If you are saying the right words with the wrong tone, you're not going to solve anything. Another theory that is more specifically, I feel, applied to cetaceans, parrots, is the relationship intelligence hypothesis. Because, as opposed to, for example, songbirds, parrots normally bond in mate pairs for life. And that requires a lot of intelligence. So besides their very complex life within their social circle, they also have this extra relationship that they constantly need to adjust, readjust, solve problems with. And that is one other theory of how they ended up developing big brains and very nice auditory and vocal capabilities. It's exactly like us. A lot of love, a lot of conflict resolution. So now we're going to go a bit more into some of the fun games that we'll be playing together. And this is now me going to start to match scientific research with people who have been doing this type of research as well, but not within the science framework. And I really love to bridge these two gaps, and there's many people who are, and I'll have some references for you if you want to research later. So an invitation for you to start doing, even while you're here in Boom, but when you go to the rest of your lives after, very important to not stay within this bubble. We start preparing for 3 days from now, is that you start listening a bit more to the sounds around you and the sounds that are not human. So you can start with birds. For birds we have several call types, and the sounds that they are making can tell us a lot about what they are going through and what's happening in their environment. For people who love to go out in nature and go really nerdy into it, the birds are considered the best bridge into understanding these wild environments, because they are very tuned in and they make sounds that we can hear even if we don't see them. This is very important. So the first call type that we can hear is called a contact call. This is the sounds that they all the time will do to understand, are you still there? Are you still there? Are you still there? I'm here, are you still there? I'm eating here now, are you still there? This is the contact calls. They have other names as well, like sub-genres of contact calls. Some are the soft calls, like everything is fine, I'm just checking if you're there. We also have the companion calls, like mostly for the mate pair, like hey partner, are you still there? Like this, is a sub-genre. And then we have other calls as well. They indicate that something else is happening, like the territorial aggression. When a bird is in their territory and some other bird comes, they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? Basically. And they say, what do you mean? I'm just on my turf. This is how it goes. This is exactly what they're saying. When people ask, what is this bird saying? It's a lot of this. Like, are you still there? Are you still there? What are you doing here? A lot. Then you have what's called adolescent begging, which is when birds, the baby birds grow a little bit, they start making sounds and they start asking for food repeatedly from their parents. And these that I just described are called baseline. Baseline means that it's business as usual. This is how the ecosystem is in balance. Are you still there? Get out of my way. Please, mom, give me food. And then there is the non-baseline. If something happens, basically, no, come here. No, we do everything again. So you remember, you memorize. So, hello. The alarm calls. There you are. The alarm calls are the sounds that are even louder, and at least for me, but I invite you to try to see if this happens also for you. If you hear it, you also go into alarm. It's not like, everything is okay. Like, you hear this sound and something about the pitch, the rhythm, the volume is like, something is happening. It might just be a cat, but something is happening. Yeah? So this can be a nice framework for you when you go out into the woods, or if you are in your neighborhood in the city or in your farm, wherever you are where there's birds, which is in many places. You can pick up so much information about what is happening around you through the sounds that you hear that they make. And you don't need to go research, they do this sound, so it means this. You can really try to understand how, by listening, something inside you feels something. And it's a very interesting research to do because it's very personal, and then you understand that people also study it specifically, like frequency, pitch, etc., all the things that we were saying. I want to make a small parenthesis with the animation that took me like 2 hours to make on PowerPoint, and I really enjoyed it, which is about dialects. Again, this is all super complex, just like with human language, and also birds have dialects or different idioms, tongues, different tongues that they speak. And how do dialects happen? Imagine you have forest, and you have birds in the forest, right? And suddenly some of these birds, the birds are singing, of course. All of the things we said, contact calls, sometimes alarm, what are you doing here, etc. Suddenly some of these birds end up in another part of the forest. They went there to eat, and they thought, this part of the forest is also nice, we're gonna stay here. But if there is, for example, a river between these two parts of the forest, or even a mountain, something even bigger, so something in the topography, in the landscape, that makes travel harder, they will start singing something differently. So it's still the same species, it's still the same, maybe even the same song, but something starts changing. Can be the pitch, can be the rhythm, and this is how eventually it becomes a new dialect of the same language. If one bird ends up going from one place to the other, he speaks the red language, he arrives to the place of the black language, he will have to learn to speak the black language as well. Otherwise, he will not be understood and he might even get kicked out. Because if he cannot communicate, they cannot cooperate. This was nice. A slogan. So he has to really learn it. Again, this is where the vocal learning comes in very handy. And eventually, they might even become different species. If they don't travel at all, they start breeding between themselves here, breeding between themselves there, they will change and they become a different species of birds. This is species 101. And it was exactly the same with humans. In our case, it's the same species, but we are all very different, and it's a lot because of this. We were far, we were not breeding between people in the north and in the south, maybe, for example. If there's a mountain between us, it's hard, and over generations, this makes diversity, basically. I make a lot of parentheses, it seems. I thought we were going to go faster now. So something very quickly is a fun thing for you to research. Have you heard about mirror neurons? Yes? Would someone like to explain what are mirror neurons? You want to explain? I saw you say yeah. You said yeah? You said yeah? And Antonio. Pensé que I thought you were going to explain what are mirror neurons. Now it's very easy. So it's specific neurological pathways that allow us to get input and react immediately to this input, whether on the inside or on the outside, like physiologically or in behavior. And this is a lot what also allows for learning from oral and non-oral communication. And some people, including this guy called Goldman, call it the neural Wi-Fi. It's all the time we are actually connected to the other beings around us and constantly responding to it, even unconsciously. It's very connected with empathy and also theory of mind. Theory of mind means that you as an individual acknowledge that the individual in front of you is also an individual with the same awareness of an individual that you have of yourself. Did you understand? Again, it seems very plain because this is how we live, but once you describe it, you're like, yeah, it's there. For example, with our parents, I don't know if you've realized this, but there's a point in life in which you understand that your parents are also individuals. It's like, what? You had a life before me? You think you have fears and have loves the same way that I do? That's a theory of mind, but for parents. Also called therapy. And so we will now try to, during this workshop, like I said, which will be starting now, the more fun part of games, we're going to be using a lot of senses, right? These are the very famous 5 senses. We have sight. Where is sight in our body? In the eyes, right? It's here. We have smell. Where is smell in our body? Also here, very close. We have hearing. Maybe you can really try to touch it. Touch your sight. Touch your sight organs. Touch your smell organs. Touch your hearing organs. And touch your taste organ. Not your mouth. You didn't wash your hands. Somewhere around here. Right? All of this is very close to each other. Right? Our head has a lot of receptors for these 4 very important senses, right? And then we have touch. So, where do you have touch? Everywhere, yes. There's touch everywhere. You can probably, feel the floor under your butt, under your legs. You can feel your clothes, right? So these are the 5 famous ones. But a lot of people have started to describe many more senses. So we can take 10 seconds to look and see if you recognize some of them. Again, some of them are a bit obvious, like sense of time. Yeah, okay, I realize that time has passed from when I started saying this sentence. It's obvious, but it's also a sense. If you lose this, you would have a completely different life. Yeah? So we into them after the workshop, I can also share with you. But yeah, some people are getting really nerdy with this stuff. And now I'm going into a big reference that then we are going to use, which is John Young. He is a very, very cool person. He's from the USA, so from Turtle Island, and he grew up with a mentor, which was now is an elder, but at that time was not even so old, of one of the local Native American tribes that was living very close. And he learned a lot by hanging out with this community of how to relate with the natural world. And he has, in the meantime, written several books and always naming his references and the specific communities that he learned from, and doing a lot of conferences. He does amazing work to teach this to children in order to eventually change the world. Because through education of children to reconnect with the natural world is how he believes that the world would get better. And one of his quotes that really inspired me for this workshop is, "For the deepest learning and achievement to happen, the deepest visceral connection with the subject is necessary." So that's why I was talking about birds, because I really like birds. And then I learn with birds. So if you find something that you really love, it's so much easier to learn about it and with it, right? And we are going to explore a bit this concept, which is called the bird plow, or also your awareness and disturbance circles. So this is for your reference now during the exercise. The bird plow means when you are walking in the forest, if you are completely unaware, if you have no etiquette of where you are going to be a hotspot of disturbance of your environment. You're like walking as if you own the world, and not caring about whether you have an effect or not, so you're going to scare all the birds away and all the animals away. This is your disturbance ring, very big, and your awareness circle, very small. And we are going to practice how to shift this to make your disturbance very small and to make your awareness very big. Yeah? So this is with deer and birds, but also of course with humans. This is happening all the time when we are interacting with each other. So yeah, these are some of the references that I bring for you to research. These are amazing books. They're all very different from each other. One that I talked a bit about John Young, which has What a Robin Knows in the Coyote's Guide. I also find a lot of inspiration in the work that reconnects. I don't know if you've heard about it, if you've practiced. They have those very expensive certificates that you can take. I just read the books. I don't really like this paying for certificate stuff, but they have very cool work that they do in order to again reconnect with the natural world, which is also us, of course. And then I recommend all the time Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She's also from the US. She's a Native American who is also a researcher in botany. So this book is about how even individuals, she's trying to bridge the gap between indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge. And it's one of the most beautiful books you can read. Really, it's amazing. Has anyone read it? Yes? Yay, do you like it also? It's incredible, yes. Yes, it's super gorgeous. And she also has a beautiful, that I think also connects with the theme of yesterday, a beautiful reflection throughout the book of what it means to be indigenous, what it means to be native. And I actually really appreciate that as someone who, like her, is considered to be an indigenous of the land, right? Because she is Native American in Turtle Island in the US. She has a very inviting position of how anyone can become native to place. So for me it's amazing because it takes away the dichotomy of you're indigenous, you are not, but it means caring for the place that you are in. And that way you can become indigenous by definition, or native by definition, because it's someone who takes care of the land for future generations. And this is exactly what everyone should be doing in the context that we are in, ecologically and socially. Everyone should be trying to be indigenous to whatever land they are in, and I can say that because she says it. Unfortunately, that's how it works. You need to feel like you're together in these theories because they might even be controversial, which is ridiculous because this is what everyone should be doing. So yes, invitation for reflections. Okay. Does anyone have questions or reflections? Something that they thought about that they would like to share while I was on my monologue? Yes. Obrigada, Antonio. I cannot move so much because it's feedback.
I just wanted to say it was good. Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
I'm gonna add very good.
Oh, who gives more? Who gives more?
Anyone wants? Yeah. It's like this. Hello. Just one question. You said that the birds can learn a dialect, but then they know two dialect, two language, three language. There is one theory about it, or then they forget the first one and then with the new one?
It's actually a very good question. They don't forget. Again, the bird brain talks a lot about this stereotype. It's about memory, but they have amazing memory, so that's why they are able to learn. Learning requires memory, so they don't forget. The thing is that they don't travel as much as we do. They don't take planes all the time. So if they move from one place to another to learn the dialect, it means that they are staying there. So they are not going to necessarily go back to where they came from or go to another place to learn another dialect. They move less. So it's not as common that they would have to constantly use different languages like we do. Like here we are talking all the languages, huh?
Can I also ask a question? Last Boma was here, there was an amazing presentation about whale communication.
Yes, I also saw that one. It was amazing.
Yeah, I cried.
Yes.
It was so impactful. And one of the reasons I cried it was because it is being deeply affected by human activity, namely sound pollution, mostly sound pollution. And I wonder if it applies as well to the bird community, if you have information about that, if there is actually actionable action, redundant, that we can do in our day-to-day to support their communication.
Very nice. There is indeed very interesting and kind of fun research about how bird populations, so populations are within the same species, like there's the Idanha Nova population and the Serra da Estrela population, same species, different places that they live in, different communities of the same species of birds. And if you take a same species that lives in the countryside or in the city they speak a lot louder volume-wise, and I think it's also more high-pitched because it's more audible. So indeed, they are already adapting their own communication. So the same as whales, the same as fish. I don't know if you know, but fish also talk. But they talk in sounds that we cannot perceive when we are underwater even. So fish researchers have these these microphones that go under the water that pick up the frequencies that we don't hear, and it's something like this. But they speak, and it's also effective. There's also research being done, for example, in the Tejo river around Lisbon, with all the boats. They have to speak louder and louder, and there's a limit to their physiology of how loud they can speak. So then they don't listen to each other, they don't find mates, they don't have sex. Very sad. So what can we do? There's so much we can do. We could travel less. We could maybe not make giant trans festivals. But we also have our lives as humans, right? So there's a balance. I don't know if you have noticed, but the birds here in Boom are speaking very loudly. Have you noticed? Like, it's the same sound, but so loud. Sometimes like, whoa, what? And it's not even an alarm call, it's a contact call. Like, are you there? But are you there? Like,
Okay, so I was not here since the beginning, but I have a question. So can we count ducks as birds too here?
Ducks,
Ducks.
they are birds.
Yeah, okay. So for example, when they migrate in groups. So they need or they have the need to learn the other language since they are already in groups and they communicate between each other.
It depends on how long they stay.
Okay.
If you're just passing through, you might not even need to interact with the local populations. It's exactly like humans. If you are traveling somewhere and you're only between the ones that speak the same language as you don't need to learn the local language, and then you pass through. But indeed, migratory birds normally travel in big flocks, so they are speaking between them. Yeah, but a nice question, thank you. Oh, there's also more questions there. Related with that, how do you, just before your question, how do you define a bird? Why are ducks birds? Feathers? What? The beaks, yes, the hard mouth that they have.
They incubate eggs.
They lay eggs, very nice. They lay what? Hard eggs, because reptiles lay soft eggs. And hollow bones, very nice, because they need to fly, so they need to be light. Something else about birds? What? They have wings, exactly! And they don't have teeth, also. They poop anytime. And their poop is both solid and liquid. They don't pee and poop. They have the same thing in one.
Oh wow.
They make nests. Yes. So you know what birds are.
They are the word as well.
Birds are the word.
Bird is the word.
The bird is the word.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I was wondering, any advice for rewilding our lives? Those of us that still live in urban or semi-urban areas. That's first question, and second, are there any really good books about non-verbal communication in humans and how you can understand it better that you would recommend?
The first one, just a clarification. What do you mean with rewilding?
Connecting better with with sensory awareness, and such.
That's what we're going to do now. What we'll do can be applied in any place. It requires not being shy. Not being like, I'm in the street, it's not polite. You just go ahead and do it. That's why I was asking rewilding, because what I understood from you was to be more wild or be more natural. But indeed, cities are also ecosystems. They're also environments. They're also natural environments, since we humans who make them are also nature. That's just words. But indeed, there's people who are like urban biologists. They study urban environment. They study, bees, rats, peregrine falcons, that have adapted to that environment as opposed to adapting to a field or a mountain. So for sure the city is an environment in which we could have amazing lives eventually. What was your second question? Books. All the books that I found of non-verbal communication in humans are just like self-help books. They're a bit weird. That's why I went the other way. I went to animal non-verbal communication, and we're going to try to apply it with us. And why also Antonio was talking about movement is because I am also a dancer, and dance is an amazing non-verbal communication. Amazing. I'm sure you've noticed, no? You're here dancing all day long. And you can meet people without talking to them and without knowing their names. And you don't need to go full-on contact improv rolling together on the floor. It can be just, you're there, I'm here, and we are communicating. So I feel like that could be a great gateway into being more aware of it and develop it yourself. Yeah, but we'll do some exercises now about that. Yes. Maybe the last one, so we have a bit of time still.
So this is not a question. Is
it's just a reflection
Mm-hmm.
how difficult it is to keep the balance between us humans and animals, because somehow we humans feel attracted to wildness, and sometimes we keep doing so bad things for them, like swimming with dolphins, which is so popular at the Azores, whale watching. We keep interfering with them constantly, and some people, and I've done it some years ago because I lived many years at the Azores. But now, when I think about it, it makes me sad because we keep pushing them on their environments, and we keep pushing, not respecting them. And for these recent years, there is such a huge trend on having wild animals as pets. And this is one of the most profitable business all over the world. I think it's the fourth or the fifth more profitable business, illegal traffic of animals, and more than 80% of them die. More than 80, and these numbers are so horrible. When we think that we, as a novel way of speaking, are buying wild animals that were supposed to be in their environments, to keeping them for our children at home, at aquariums, at terrariums. Which is this? What is this? What kind of humans are we becoming? So this is just a reflection.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. No, of course, it's a super valid reflection. And I feel like also having worked in a zoo again, there is this exoticizing of animals, that in order to see a cool animal, it needs to be a panda. But no, I mean, even wherever you are in the world, there's amazing animals. It's not just because they are in National Geographic that they are super cool. So that's why people who are encouraging other humans, to just go out in their local backyards, in their local cities, to discover what life is there, it's so important to take this image away that the cool animal is the tiger. No, there's amazing lizards. There's lizards right here. Like it's amazing. And of course, I mean the traffic of wild animals. It's also, you know, for the big elites, like the ones who want to have private zoos. And I'm not even gonna go into it because we all know it's wrong. Correct? Yes, we're not gonna make a private zoo at home. Great. Yes. So even what you are saying, in order to connect with whales, we need to go on a boat that might hurt them or be loud and they cannot communicate with each other. It's also weird, so we really need to redefine how to connect with nature. And again, nature is not just there by taking the boat to go see the whales. Nature is everywhere, and also starts by having respect and empathy. What we are seeing now, the disturbance versus awareness, John Young calls it the good jungle etiquette. It's not jungle like we need to go to the Amazon. No, wherever you are, you have good etiquette of how to be in your environment. Not just for humans, the same way that you open the door for someone who is passing, or you don't step on their foot. You try to do the same for the animals. You try to not step on the ants if you can, or you let you don't chase pigeons. Chasing pigeons is not good jungle etiquette. So this is very simple, and you can do this everywhere in the city. If you're walking, you just don't disturb the pigeons. They're hanging out. They get scared easily, so I'm gonna walk 1 meter more to the left. Something like this, which is so simple. So it's step by step. And we also go and we protest, and we try to delete the trafficking networks of wild animals, for sure. The big and the small. Yeah, but thank you. Okay, are you ready to move a little bit? Yes? Okay, so we can start sitting down, and we're going to get up, because to sit down we have a few concepts to explore. And they are related with the senses that we were talking about. So let's wake up a bit after a lot of theory and a lot of mind. Let's try to find our 5 senses that we were talking about before. So the 5 senses were the touch, the hearing, the sight, the smell, and the taste, right? So let's take a moment to locate